y'all, welcome back to Mira's Maze. As always, it's your girl Mira, and I am back with another review for Married at First Sight. So, in this episode, we had a couple of group settings. So, I'm gonna go through those at the end. So, first, I'm gonna hit up the different couples individually, and then we'll go back and discuss the two times that they were in a group. So, we're gonna just get started with Mirla and Gil. So they wake up and they're having their joking banter going back and forth, and they say that that's just how they communicate and that's fun between them. But I just don't see that being healthy for too long. Like, it starts off with you joking and it being playful and ha ha ha, and that's just our banter. But then when y'all realize y'all really do have all these differences and y'all really don't like each other, then what are y'all doing? Y'all just joking on each other, like it's not banter anymore. So Gil brings up the last name changing thing again because, as we know, Mirla has no interest in changing her last name, and she says it's in connection to her father. He has passed and she wants to continue on his last name, but so then he suggests, well, you know how people do the hyphenated thing. And she reads it off and she's like, well, I don't like the way that sounds. That's too much. And what would people call me? And it's just like, just say you don't want to change your last name. Because I'm sure that your father's death does play some part of it, and that is probably a thought. But I also just get the feeling that you just really don't want to change your last name, sis. And I think you're stuck on that. You're set on that. But I'm really trying to figure out how you decided to get married at first sight to a stranger and didn't anticipate that that man would want you to have his last name. Like, that's the point. So Gil also says he wants a big family, and Mirla says absolutely not. She's just not here for it. Um, and he says, well, you don't have to carry all of them, and she's like, no, I'm not trying to be adopting no babies anyway. And he calls that evil. Like, he was like, that is very evil to say, and it's just really a hard no for her. And these two and their differences and their clashing, like, because even in that moment he had surprised her with gelato, and because she had said that she wanted gelato or whatever, and she inquires on if it's vegan or not and why is it like this, and by the time they got it, it was probably melted. And so he in the confessional is just kind of like, even when I do a surprise, it has to be so deeply thought out and so planned to a T and to perfection, because it's going to get picked apart every step of me even trying to surprise her. So it just wears him out to even try to do something nice because she's gonna pick it apart. I just don't think these two are gonna make it. Like, that's the notes that I have for them, because really there was nothing minus once we get back in the group settings. But with them individually, oh, and she did surprise him with chocolate chip cookies. Now, that was nice. That was some effort that we seen out of Mirla that I didn't think we would see out of her, because up until that point, she hadn't really been putting in effort. It was kind of like, you impress me, you do everything that you feel like is going to get in good graces with me, and then we'll see how I feel. So to see her kind of reciprocate something and give him something that was good, because I'm like, he's trying, he's doing something, but her, I just, they're not gonna make it. They're really not. I'm watching, and I'm watching two strangers continue to be strangers. So we're gonna just move on to Rachel and Jose. I have more notes for them, I promise. So they wake up kissing, and it's getting on my nerves a little bit. I'm sorry, it's getting played out. Like, I don't know. It doesn't seem, I don't know. Maybe because the other couples all say that they're really spicy and they seem to have this big connection and everything, but the way I'm reading it is it's just a little too much, and it doesn't really seem that authentic. Especially when the differences that y'all have, I feel like, are going to we just gonna move on. I'm not even gonna place what I believe is gonna happen until it happens, but I'm gonna just leave it in the back of my thoughts, because something about them is just rubbing me the wrong way. So they ended up talking about him wanting them to go for bike rides, and Rachel was like, she can't ride a bike, honey. And he's thrown off like, what? You don't know how to ride a bike? She don't know how to ride a bike. She don't know how to ride a bike. Don't be shaming her. I'm gonna just say that as a person who struggled to learn how to ride a bike and learn later in life. Not when I was her age. You know, I was still a kid, but it's hard. So I don't follow her for that. So then Rachel pulls out a list, and there's questions or things that they want to do before they have kids, and she talks about these vacations she wants to go on and things she want to do. And this is where, once again, financial differences comes to play, because he don't want to spend no money, child. And it's just like, I don't know, it's a couple seasons ago we had Brett and Olivia made more money. Brett was smarter with his money and actually owned his house and everything, but theoretically Olivia was making more money, but the way she chose to spend it was a lot different and a lot less, I guess, responsible, you could say. And it just, they clashed on every end. She wanted to do this, she wanted to do that, she wanted to buy herself nice things and travel with her money, and that's just not where he was at with it. He wanted to be more responsible, more frugal. We've seen that it doesn't work married at first sight. We've seen this. Experts, y'all have done this before. I don't know why y'all want to put us through this again in a different variation, but we're gonna move on. So then later, we see them go for their bike rides or whatever, and she said, well, you know, it's not that I don't know how to ride a bike, it's starting and stopping and finishing and turning. So it's every fucking thing, Rachel. You just don't know how to ride a bike. But you know, she gets through it or whatever, and after they ride the bikes, they are once again discussing finances, and Jose's like, oh, you want to know my credit score? I mean, I get taking pride in how you've handled yourself and how you've been able to make success for yourself, and that is all great, but at some point talk about something else than your finances. Like, I am convinced that his 815 credit score is his like personality trait at this point. Like, Jose, what else do you have to offer besides some big ass teeth and an 815 credit score, sir? Like, so that's them. We gonna move on. The finances are definitely going to continue to play a part in the conflict that we see them start to have. So then we have Ryan and Brett, and apparently Brett is just scared of everything. Like, when they're even mentioning different things that they are going to do, it is just, it's up for her. She is not really an outdoorsy type of person, and she's not really, I guess you want to say, up for adventures or whatever. And I guess Ryan is the opposite, and he's trying to be a team player, but you can see it in his emotionless face that he is getting over it. So they but they do end up, like, I notice whenever they do stuff for me, she tries, she puts in the effort, she doesn't complain about it, she fights through it. When they went on the little boat ride or whatever, she was a team player. She didn't, I mean, there was something in the water, she did freak out a little bit, but I would too. I don't like that. Like, I enjoy being in the water, but them sea creatures be scaring me. So I felt I was with her. But not really a lot happened with them, like, individually on their own. But later on we do see again, like, okay, it's gonna come up when they're in the group setting, so I'll just touch on it with them though, personally though, because Ryan keeps wanting to sweep under the rug the political things, like, oh, it's not a big issue, and even though we're on opposing sides, blah blah blah, it's no big deal to me, and blah. And Brett's like, no. And I agree. Like she said, as of the later years, she's been more active. And you know, they talk in between the lines, and I don't know if it's also editing, cutting out certain things just for the sake of, you know, viewers and all that stuff, and being politically correct, I guess, too. But it's pretty obvious we're talking about the Trump thing. Ryan is obviously a Trump supporter. Brett is obviously not. And from the sounds of things, she sounds like she kind of stood with the Black Lives Matter movement or whatever. That's what I was reading in it, because she said, you know, in these few years she's been out and she's been doing things. So that's how I read that. And like I said, and as of these last few years of with who we had as the president, and even his second campaign run or whatever, it is a lot bigger and deeper than just politics with this. Like, I mean, I know in the past it's like, okay, Democrats and Republicans, they've always been opposing sides, but it's never felt like this. Like, this absolutely feels like a race issue. This absolutely feels like a humanity issue. This absolutely feels like, I don't know if I can stand with you. I don't stand with you if you stand with that side. So I understood why this is an issue that Brett wanted to bring up again, and why she feels so strongly about it, regardless of Ryan trying to sweep it under the rug. So I high five her for that. So then we go to Johnny and Bao. I had the most notes about them, really, because they always seem to have the most stuff going on. So Bao and Johnny, they're still separated by the walls of the body pillow that sleeps between them, as well as Bao's insecurities. It makes me so sad, because I know that no one is intentionally that insecure, and no one is intentionally that at that level of, you know, conflict with themselves. So it does make me really sad for her, because she does seem like a really nice, genuinely nice person, and I think that that is going to be some of the things that get in their way. And it's not even her fault, because that's not something that you can control as a person. I mean, sure, you can go to like therapy and stuff like that, but when you have deep rooted trauma within yourself, that is truly hard to overcome. So I just feel so bad for that aspect of it. So then the next scene, we see them kind of talking. They're in a hammock. I mean, a hammock. And Johnny is like, you know, he hadn't been as forward as he probably should have been in the early conversation that they had. So he basically wanted to be honest and let her know, you know, this is around the time that I start thinking fight or flight. Like, I start thinking, am I in this, or is this where I go ahead and say, you know? And he, like he said, if he was dating, the things that he traditionally didn't like or were opposing to what he believed or how he did things, he would peace out. So it is a little bit more challenging for him, because now he's committed to something and he wants to see it through, but he wants Bao to try not to be so fixated on the past, or even harping on what's going to happen in the future, and more so live in the now, live in the moment, and put in the time to get to know each other now, so that they can actually see, like, are they going to be able to stay together in the long run. So they end up going parasailing, which I want to do so bad. I really want to do that. It looks so fun. Belle was so nervous, and she really didn't want to do it. And I think she's not nearly as adventurous as Johnny seems like he is. But she did it. She powered through it, and she actually did have fun. And it was nice to see them enjoy that moment. So then after that, after the parasailing, they just discuss moving in together, and Johnny knows that that is going to be something difficult for them. It's been 8 years since he's lived with anyone. He is a person that's set and stuck in his ways, and because he hasn't lived with anyone for 8 years, he hasn't had to explain himself. He hasn't had to have a reason for this. He has known where he put certain things and where they're placed and why, and hasn't had no explanation for it. But now that's something that they are going to, you know, and we know that she has her ways. So Lord bless them. So then later on, I don't understand Johnny exposing herself in certain aspects, but honey, her words not mine. She wants Johnny to let her be her dirty self. And Johnny, you could just see it all on his face. Like, that's one thing. That man can't hide his facial expressions, because I'm telling you, when she said, let me be dirty and peace, Johnny was looking like, peace. I'm a peace out. That's the peace. Like, he was not with it. Johnny said if they were just dating, he would be a goner. Like, whew, I don't really think that Belle was trying to say she doesn't take showers and she doesn't bathe, but I'm not even gonna try. I don't know what she was trying to say. I take showers daily. It's not even an afterthought. It's a forethought. Like, I don't I don't get it not being a priority, Belle. I'm not even gonna lie. I was trying to give you the benefit of the doubt, but I can't see where you're coming from, sis. On that, I can't. And I agree with Johnny. If somebody's sitting in front of me, playing in my face like that, telling me they don't take baths like that, or they don't prioritize and showering and hygiene, I would be out. So that's it for all the couples really individually. Like I said, these episodes just be long for no dang on reason, because they could cut out some of this stuff and keep it and we didn't have to see it and it wouldn't make a difference. As we know, Zach um has COVID, so him and Michaela are separate, so we really didn't see much of them besides Michaela being back home in Texas. Still kind of sad that they're apart, and Zach, trying to recover from COVID. The couples did end up going to see him. Rachel and Jose and Mirla and Gil stopped by to see how he was doing, check on him, tell him, we got to keep our distance, but if you need anything, we can throw it up to you. He said Johnny and Bal had came and threw him up some beers the night before, so they're trying to, stay active with him. So the first group setting, they had a group dinner and they ended up FaceTiming Zach. And Mirla did not miss the opportunity to be her messy little diva self and say, honey, don't even worry about it. Michaela's not missing anything out here. And, she said she was just playing. You was serious. Honey, you ready to leave that retirement home. Just say that. We know. So, they're all going around. Even Johnny even expresses, me and Bal had our first disagreement the night before, but we kind of worked through it and kind of talked it out now, so we're good. But that's where we stood. We were kind of at odds a little bit, and Ryan is like, he appreciates them sharing that, just highlighting that it's not all just, we're all just kumbaya and everything's great. He appreciated that, because there are going to be disagreements. And Brett says, honey, me and Ryan ain't talking about nothing. Like, we haven't had those deep conversations. We haven't had the financial conversations, the conversations about what we live. Like, so they ain't talked about shit, and we know that. And that's why it's never no notes about them, because they ain't talking about shit. They ain't doing shit, and we don't know what's going on with them. So where it gets a little bit intense is when Gil had brought up the politics. Like, he says that it's not a deal breaker for him, and he thinks it's kind of childish to vote emotionally, and if you agree with what someone can bring to the table as far as politics when it comes to financial gains and how it benefits you. And Mirla was not having it. She strongly disagrees. She said, if we disagree politically, then that is a deal breaker for me. She said it's not about what she said, it's not about me personally. I don't care if voting for this person helps my tax bracket or does this and that. It's about humanity. And Mirla, yes. I really like Mirla in this moment. Like, talk that talk, speak that truth. I don't really care about what Gil's talking about, because it sounds like he's a Trumper, if you ask me. Like, just say you voted for Trump without saying it, because that's really what was going on at that table. Essentially, it was that Gil and Ryan both voted for Trump, and Mirla and Ryan just was not having it. I mean, Mirla and Brett wasn't having it. They wasn't seeing for that. So yeah, it's I don't know how I feel about that. That would be a deal breaker for me. I feel like, Gil, you trying to make it not be a deal breaker because you know that obviously it's not something that Mirla agrees with. Like they said, I think this is a little bit more than political this go around. Y'all can try to sweep it under the rug and make it seem like it's nothing, but Brett don't really surprise me, because Ryan, I get their names mixed up because they're both essentially male names, and Brett sounds more male than Ryan, because I've seen Ryan go both ways, so it's just hard. But anyway, Ryan is less surprising to me because they are in Texas and he is white, and Texas is extremely racist and Republican, so it does not surprise me on his end. I ain't gonna lie, Gil caught me by surprise a little bit there though. So Johnny lightens the mood, asked if anyone has consummated their marriages, and they all assume that Rachel and Jose have, even though they swear they haven't. they just, you know, get spicy with the kissing and all that, but they haven't gone that far, and that's something that they will want to take their time for. They all go around and kind of say who they think will be first. Mainly, all of them feel like Johnny and Belle will probably cross that line first. Even though we as the viewers, we know who crossed that line first. Ryan was right, because he said, I think it's the guy who's not here, because, you know, this COVID stuff is probably, this distance is probably going to pull them even closer together when they do get back together. Little do they know, honey, it done already happened. So then the second group outing was the boat ride, and a little bit more information got brought out here too, because Val shocks everyone because she's actually had a one night stand before. Hopefully she took a shower. No, let me not. I like Val. I don't want to take shots at her, but why does she have to? Why? Okay. Rachel and Mirla have both cheated before, but it's no sweat off Mirla's back, because apparently her and Gil have already discussed this before, so he knew that already. Rachel says, you know, I was young, I was dumb, it was just, it happened. Hell, she owned up to it. You know, you can see Jose feeling a little bit of a type of way off to the side. He, you know, he threw in a little comment, oh, I married a cheater, blah. So, and nothing else really happened besides they were trying to do the little pedal boarding, and honey, Johnny ended up on the other side of the damn ocean, lost at sea. Honey, he could not find his way. He didn't know how to turn the damn thing, but eventually he thought strategically and slowly but surely got his ass back to that boat. Him talking about how he did it strategic was just so funny to me, because him and Val are just so, they just do everything to a T in a certain way, and it's so funny because, honey, I would have freaked out if I'm away from that boat. Panic would be in my mind, not strategy. But anyway, it was a decent episode. Like I said, I do think they make these a little bit too long. They stretch them out a little bit. They put certain stuff in there that we just don't have to see, and I just think 2-hour episodes are very unneeded. But all in all, it was a pretty good episode. I'm ready to see what's gonna happen next week. Mirla, Lord, I can't get these names this week. Michaela and Zach reunite next week, so we'll get to see them on the TV again. So anyway, y'all make sure y'all like the video. Of course, comment down below and subscribe, and I will see y'all next